So the Switch has been out for over 5 years now, and there are actually a few different models of Switch that you can get. So for this video, I wanted to take a look at some of the different types of Nintendo Switches, and we'll try to figure out which Nintendo Switch model is right for you. So let's start out with just the basic Nintendo Switch. This is the original one, just plain old Nintendo Switch. Now maybe if you are looking at a used Nintendo Switch, it might be important to note that there are actually two different versions of the original Nintendo Switch. This is the very first model of the Nintendo Switch. This is the one that came out March 3rd, 2017. You can tell it's the original one by the artwork here. You have the Switch with like this white background. On the back you have the Switch on a white background with two hands pulling out the Joy-Con. So this is the first version of the original Switch. However, a few years ago, Nintendo actually released a version 2 of the original Switch. And you can tell it's the version 2 of the Switch by this red box. So it'll have the Nintendo Switch on a red background this time, and then on the back we have two hands holding each individual Joy-Con with the Nintendo Switch logo in the middle. You'll often hear this version of the Nintendo Switch called the Nintendo Switch V2. It was basically just a minor revision to the original Nintendo Switch. It improves the battery life of the Switch from version 1. It also has a screen that is a bit more color accurate. So overall, it's just a little bit better version of the Switch. It doesn't mean the version 1 of the Switch is completely unusable. It's just that this one has some minor tweaks to it. The regular Nintendo Switch comes with 32 gigabytes of onboard storage. It has a 6.2-inch LCD screen. The Nintendo Switch version 2 has a battery life of about 4.5 hours to 9 hours, depending on what kind of games you're playing. And there are also some different models of this Nintendo Switch. I think one of the main ones that you'll see is the Animal Crossing Switch. If I'm not mistaken, the Animal Crossing Switch is the version 2 Switch. The regular Switch will currently run you $300 US. So that's the regular Switch. Now we have the Switches that I don't actually have in my possession. The other model Switch that you'll see is the Nintendo Switch Lite. This is a Nintendo Switch model for people who play their Switch on the go, and that is because the Switch Lite is only playable in portable mode. You cannot connect the Switch Lite to a TV. You have to play it on the actual Switch's screen. It's meant to be for people who liked the 3DS or the DS, you know, just bringing the game on the go and not connecting it to the TV. So the Switch Lite once again comes with 32 gigabytes of built-in storage. However, it has a 5.5-inch LCD screen, so a little bit smaller than the regular Switch. And the battery life will last you about 3 to 7 hours, which, not gonna lie, seems a bit confusing to me because I feel like with a device that is only portable, you would want a larger battery life. In any case, although the Switch Lite does strip a bunch of features, it does mean that you are getting the most budget-friendly Switch. The Switch Lite comes in at $200. So I think overall the Switch Lite is more so aimed towards kids. You know, it's for the kids who want to play the Switch in the car and just bring along the games wherever you go type of stuff. There are actually quite a few different versions of the Nintendo Switch Lite. There is a Pokemon variant that, I'm not gonna lie, looks super duper cool. So you also have some aesthetic options there. And then finally, on the other side of the Switch spectrum, we have the Nintendo Switch OLED model. As of right now, this Switch is the most premium Switch that you can get. It is basically a souped up version of the regular Switch. There's a 7-inch OLED screen. It has an upgraded 64 gigabytes of internal storage, and then it also has the same 4.5 hour to 9 hour battery life. There's an improved kickstand, enhanced speakers. Oh yeah, and then also the Switch OLED comes with a new dock. This new dock has an Ethernet port built in, so if you want to plug in your internet directly to your Switch, now you can do that. And then in terms of colors, there are actually some really cool looking models of the Nintendo Switch. There's the Splatoon 3 Switch, if you can get your hands on that one. I think that's one of the coolest looking Switches ever. And then coming soon, there is also the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet Nintendo Switch OLED model. And once again, since the Switch OLED is the most premium model, it runs at $350 US. And it's important to note that the Switch OLED does actually have different dimensions than the regular Switch. It's a tiny bit larger than the regular Switch, so unfortunately, some of your accessories for the regular Switch may not work with the Switch OLED model. But those are the 3 Nintendo Switch models out right now. I swear if Nintendo releases a Switch Pro by the time I post this video, I'm gonna be really sad. But each one offers a little bit of something different different for everyone. In my opinion, the Switch Lite is perfect for people who mainly play their Switch on the go. The regular Switch is great for anybody who just wants a very basic Switch experience. And then the Switch OLED is more for like the tech-savvy gamers who need the larger OLED screen. For me personally, I have been rocking the Nintendo Switch version 2 for about 3 years now. I think at some point I might want to upgrade to the OLED model, but for now the regular Nintendo Switch has worked perfectly fine for me. So hopefully this video will help you in deciding which Switch you should get. What is up guys, my name is Chase and we all love the Nintendo Switch. That's just basic knowledge by now. But there are some lesser known secrets about the Nintendo Switch that you may not know about. So today I'll be sharing some Nintendo Switch secrets. The first Nintendo Switch secret is that the Nintendo Switch actually has a camera. Now don't worry, it's not a webcam where the government is always watching you. Actually, if you take a look at the right Joy-Con, this little black glossy part on the bottom of the Joy-Con is actually an infrared camera. For whatever reason, Nintendo thought this would be fun to throw onto the Joy-Con, which is like, okay, cool. So this little black thing at the bottom of the Joy-Con does actually have a purpose. It's used in a lot of very interesting ways. If you've ever played Ring Fit Adventure, you know that this IR camera can be used to track your pulse. In the game 1-2 Switch, the camera is used for like a sandwich eating mini game. Nintendo Labo uses it for some of the Toy-Cons. So there is actually a camera on the Nintendo Switch kinda. It's a little IR camera on the bottom of the right Joy-Con. My next Nintendo Switch secret is that you can actually connect Bluetooth audio devices to the Nintendo Switch. This feature was randomly introduced in a system update kinda recently, but if you go into your Nintendo Switch settings, scroll down to Bluetooth audio and you can actually pair an audio device. So for example, you can pair your AirPods, you can connect a Bluetooth speaker. It's actually really convenient to use wireless earphones while you're playing your Switch. So for example, on my Switch, I have my AirPods Pros connected to it. So if we pop in my AirPods Pros and connect to it, and there we go. I'm now hearing everything on the Switch on my AirPods Pros, which is really cool. Speaking of new features, the Nintendo Switch also now has folders. So if you're like me and you have a bunch of games and apps taking up your Switch, if you scroll all the way to the right of the home page to All Software, and on the top right of the screen you'll see next to the L button that it says Groups. So you press the L button, and it'll take you to a groups page, which is basically just folders. You can create a new group and add whatever games you want to in your little group, and it makes it really helpful for like searching through all of the games and apps you have on your Switch. I particularly like using it for my backlog. I have a whole group just full of games that I still have to play in my backlog, and so it makes it easy for me to just never forget. Make sure you play your backlogs, kids. My next Nintendo Switch secret is once again in the system settings. If you scroll down to controllers and sensors, there are actually a bunch of different settings you can use for your controllers. For example, you can change the button mapping of your controller. So if you go into change button mapping, you can change what all of the different buttons do for your controller. It gives you a lot of freedom for how you want to play your games. Also in the controller settings, you can actually update your controllers. If I'm not mistaken, there hasn't been a controller software update in a little while, but it's just kind of cool to know that at any moment Nintendo could randomly introduce features to the controllers by sending out a controller software update. Also in the controller settings, there's a way to completely unpair all of your controllers. This is good for like troubleshooting if you're having problems with your controllers. It's basically a factory reset for all of your controllers. And my final Nintendo Switch secret is the Nintendo Switch Online icons. This was also introduced somewhat recently. If you go into the Nintendo Switch Online app at the bottom of the home screen and you scroll down to missions and rewards, you can actually use your My Nintendo Platinum coins to buy a bunch of different icons for your Switch profile. The available icons rotate pretty frequently. The Animal Crossing New Horizons icons correspond with the villagers' birthdays, and a lot of times they'll have icons for like the newest Nintendo game. And these icons barely cost any Platinum coins. They're usually 10 coins for an actual character, and then 5 coins for a background or a frame. And so once you redeem your icons, you can go into your Nintendo Switch Online profile and you can create an icon. And so you can choose whatever characters you have, whatever backgrounds or frames you have. And it's really fun to get these like bonus icons that you can use for your Switch profiles. I love this Kirby sleeping one that I have on right now. It pretty much sums up my entire life. But those are 5 of my lesser known Nintendo Switch secrets. What is up guys, my name is Chase, and do you ever take a screenshot in a video game and think, Why the heck am I doing this? I mean, whenever you take a screenshot on your console, it's just gonna sit there and collect dust, and no one is ever gonna think you're cool. Luckily, Nintendo has us covered. Except for getting people to think I'm cool. Have you seen me? In the past, transferring photos from Nintendo systems like the 3DS to any other device would mean taking the photo from the system, loading it onto an SD card, putting the SD card into your computer, and finally transferring it. It's like you needed a PhD just to get pictures from your 3DS to the computer. But now Nintendo is finally catching up to the digital age and you can wirelessly transfer photos from your Switch to your smartphone. Kind of. To be honest, I didn't even really use this feature on the Switch too much until recently when I started posting more on my Instagram. I wanted to share a picture of my cute little team of friends in Miitopia. So I decided to try out the share to smartphone function from the Nintendo Switch photo album. And I was surprised that it actually kind of works. Okay, so the first thing you're gonna wanna do is open up your photo album on the Switch. From there, you choose the picture that you want to share to your phone, press the sharing and editing button, send to smartphone, then you can select whether you want to only send one picture or multiple. From there, you take your smartphone and scan the QR code on screen, which will connect your phone to the Switch's network. You scan the second QR code, which will then open a web page with the photos that you can download from there. I mean, I could think of a million other more conventional ways of getting photos from your Switch to your phone. Not to mention that Nintendo even has a Switch Online app that you can download on smartphones, which serves the purpose of sitting there and collecting electronic dust. But it's Nintendo, so of course they have to pull some wacky stuff on us. In the end, it's a really weird method, but this does actually work to send photos from your Switch to your smartphone. What is up guys, my name is Chase, and I've kind of gotten this sixth sense of knowing the true cost of a video game system. You see, Nintendo says that the Switch costs $300 US, but really the actual price of the Switch is just poverty. Whenever there's a new piece of technology, you can bet your butt that there will be loads and loads of accessories made for it, either from the same company or from third-party companies. And when the Nintendo Switch first came out, it was a goldmine for accessories. Like yeah, for the most part with home consoles, this thing's just gonna be sitting under your TV so you don't need to wrap it in bubble wrap. But the Nintendo Switch was both a home console and a handheld, which meant huge stonks for the useless plastic industry. Today I wanted to highlight some of the good, the bad, and the ugly of Nintendo Switch accessories. Let's start off with the main accessories for the Switch, the thing that sets the Switch apart from any other video game system: the power cable. The Joy-Con are probably the most significant accessories for the Switch. Honestly, I think we all know enough about the Joy-Con at this point, so I just want to get to all the funky stuff. The fact that these controllers are small and compact, they separate into two different controllers, and they are necessary for games with the Switch. Of course, Nintendo was going to start offering variants. When the Switch first came out, we got the gray Joy-Con or the neon red and blue Joy-Con. Then we also got neon yellow for ARMS, neon pink and green for Splatoon 2, and just so many more. $80 per pair, that's cool. But some of my favorite Joy-Con are the ones that go crazy with the designs. While it's impossible to get, the Nintendo Labo Joy-Con look really great. They're textured just like cardboard. And most recently, we got the Skyward Sword Joy-Con, which honestly, these are probably some of the slickest looking Joy-Con around. So with Joy-Con, I mean, if you're willing to pay more than the price of a game for a controller, sure, go for it. But I think most people might be able to get away with the two Joy-Con that came with the system. Unless you want to play Super Mario Party, which forces you to use a single Joy-Con on its side, and that's kinda stinky. When you first open up your Nintendo Switch, you actually get some freebie accessories. Bless the Nintendo gods. You could say that the dock is an accessory, considering that there was a time when Nintendo did in fact sell it separately. However, recently, for whatever reason, Switch docks on their own are almost impossible to find. But in my opinion, an extra dock is one of the best accessories you can get for your Switch. Having more than one dock allows you to bring your Switch to multiple TVs around your house. And sure, it's not like the Switch dock is impossible to just unplug and move around, but just having one already set up and ready to go is way more convenient. For example, I have one Switch dock set up in our entertainment center on the big TV, And then if I want to bring my Switch to play on the TV in my bedroom, I can just take it out and put it in my second dock. It's really nice to have. However, the Nintendo Switch dock did have quite some issues in the early days, from bending switches to scratching Switch screens. And in order to combat the latter issue, people started selling sleeves for the Switch dock. This one that I have is from Etsy. I made a whole video about it. To be honest, I really don't mind these. In fact, I think they're actually pretty cute. Since this came from Etsy, I'm sure there are people who are hand-making these to sell, and I just love that. But besides fixing a problem that Nintendo sold us for $300, another dock accessory includes a light that you can attach to your dock. I've seen these at GameStop all the time, but whenever I'm just about to buy it, I can't help but feel like I'm an angsty teenager trying to look like I have a modded console. They also have these cooling fans for your Switch. I mean, sure, if you really need the absolute best airflow for your Switch, go for it. I'd rather just blow into my Switch. In any case, you have some ways to customize your Switch dock if you're into that sort of thing. I remember in the early days of the Switch, one of the hot ideas for companies would to make a compact Switch dock. This would allow people to go on vacation, for example, and not have to lug around a giant piece of plastic. Now, I never really got into the whole third-party docks, especially when word started going around that these docks could actually brick your Switch. So I can't really recommend any third-party docks based on personal experience. But there are some Switch docks that are cheaper and smaller than the official one. These usually go for anywhere between $20 to $40, but once again, I have not used any of these myself, so I can't say for certain whether or not these docks cause any problems with your Switch, so just proceed with caution. The other freebie that Nintendo gives you with your Switch is the Joy-Con grip. Now this might just look like a piece of plastic. That's all. No, this particular piece of plastic allows you to put your Joy-Con into a more traditional controller setup. This was one of the Joy-Con's trademark features, being able to use in many different ways. And for the most part, this works fine. I mean, it does a pretty good job at imitating a traditional controller, but it just feels a bit off with the Joy-Con. And it also raises a really annoying problem. How the heck do I charge these things? I tried plugging it into the wall, it didn't work. That's when you have to buy the Joy-Con charging grip. These things run you an extra $30, which I'm not gonna lie, is kinda poopy. You would think that they would include the grip that allows you to charge your Joy-Con in the box. That would be like if the PlayStation didn't come with a charging cable for the controller. I thought this was Nintendo, not Apple. In any case, I will say that once you actually use a Joy-Con charging grip, it really does make you realize how nice it is to have. Especially if you have multiple pairs of Joy-Con, being able to charge them without actually having them connected to the Switch is really handy. Speaking of Joy-Con grips, these are the Fast Snail Joy-Con controller grips. This was actually my most recent purchase because I wanted to get ready for Super Mario Party's new online mode. Except when the game told me to press the trigger on my Joy-Con, I said, heck. But in all seriousness, this is probably the best single Joy-Con grip I've ever used. And I've used a lot. I've used two. While this, like most of the accessories we're talking about today, is just a piece of plastic, it's honestly one of the better feeling pieces of plastic I've used. Also, the triggers. Bless the triggers. They somehow managed to make even better feeling triggers than the official Nintendo grips for the Joy-Con. They press in really nicely and it honestly feels quite close to a traditional controller. But what if you don't want to use mini M&Ms as buttons? That's when you have to drop $70 for a Nintendo Switch Pro controller. Let me just say, this is a pretty good controller. It's not perfect by any means, but if you gave me a choice between the Pro controller and the Joy-Con, you can bet your butt that I'm going with the Pro controller. Unless we're playing Super Mario Party, in which case you're kinda screwed. But the Pro controller basically takes nearly everything in the Joy-Con and improves it. The buttons are nice and massive, the sticks move around like butter, and the grips are textured so that they feel really nice in your palms. It also packs in a lot of the Joy-Con's features such as motion control, HD rumble, and even amiibo support. Overall, this is a nice controller. But this D-pad though. Geez Louise, I can't believe Nintendo, the company that invented the D-pad, actually made this thing. Maybe this is a personal preference thing, but the D-pad on the Pro controller might be one of the worst D-pads I've ever used. And I've used an Xbox 360 controller. I don't know, it's just like a weird cross between being too squishy and too stiff. And I mentioned earlier that I would choose the Pro controller over the Joy-Con,
But the definition of disaster is trying to play Tetris 99 with the D-pad on the Pro Controller. Another thing about the Pro Controller, and this is just something with the Switch in general, the triggers. Yeah, for whatever reason, Nintendo just hates analog triggers. They weren't present on the Wii U, and they aren't present on the Switch either. And I mean, the triggers on the Pro Controller doesn't completely ruin my life, but especially if you're playing racing games or shooter games, you can't help but think, what am I doing with my life? Also, why are these triggers like this? In any case, if you're willing to drop a bit of extra dough, I think the Pro Controller is a nice investment for your Switch. But let's say you'd rather use your hard-earned money towards, I don't know, food, shelter. Well, you can always go with the third-party Pro Controllers. These controllers basically try to offer what the official Nintendo Pro Controller offers at a fraction of the price. Like the third-party docks, I've never actually used any of the third-party Pro Controllers. I usually go with the official Nintendo stuff because what else am I gonna spend my money on? A girlfriend? So I don't know for certain what these third-party controllers feel like. The company I see the most often is PowerA.
PowerA what?
Depending on how much you're willing to spend, there are some wireless options which doesn't exactly live up to the official Pro Controller, but it's at least a cheaper wireless controller. There are also wired controllers which strip more features out of the controller, such as amiibo support, and they even offer a GameCube-style controller for games like Super Smash Bros. Or Super Mario 3D All-Stars. However, one bummer about these controllers is that a lot of them take out the rumble feature. And you might not think it's the biggest deal in the world, but the 3 times I felt most lost in my life were getting lost at Disneyland, graduating from high school and not knowing what to do for college, and trying to play Fortnite without rumble so I don't know when I'm getting hurt. So having rumble stripped away is a bit sad. Meanwhile, if you're looking for third-party Joy-Con replacements, the one that I've always been interested in is the Hori Split Pad Pro. This is basically if the Pro Controller and the Joy-Con had a baby. It gives you a more traditional feeling split controller that you can attach to your Switch. You get larger buttons, better thumbsticks, and an actual D-pad instead of this thing. However, you do lose a bit of features with the Split Pad Pro. You don't get motion control, you don't get rumble, and you don't get amiibo support. Along with that, according to the reviews, apparently this thing drains your Switch battery real quick. But hey, I would honestly love to one day get my hands on these, just to see how it improves my experience using the Switch in handheld. But you know what else you need when you're playing your Switch in handheld? Hands. And also a case to carry your Switch. When the Switch first came out, it was impossible to find a carrying case for it. I remember all the cases I wanted were sold out, so I had to go to GameStop and take whatever they had left. The one that nobody wanted. It was a really sad day having to buy that case. But finally, I went to Target one day and found the S-tier carrying case for the Nintendo Switch. This is the RDS Industries Switch carrying case. It's a hardshell case, there's a little pouch for your Joy-Con grips or any other accessories, and it even comes with little containers to keep your Switch games or micro SD cards. In my opinion, this is probably one of the best cases to get for your Switch. They even have a deluxe version which holds the Switch, an extra pair of Joy-Con, the dock, and all of the cables. I think people might not have realized until they actually started using their Switch that there's no way to charge the Switch while it's in tabletop mode. I feel like Nintendo didn't even realize it either. They just kind of designed the Switch and then said, oopsies. It also didn't really help that the kickstand always felt really flimsy, like a stick of gum. And that's why in 2018, Nintendo released their own adjustable charging stand for the Switch. Now I don't actually own one of these because, well, I think it seems kind of terrible. I mean, the idea behind it is fine. Let people charge their Switch in tabletop mode instead of just throwing the thing in the trash. But for $20, it just does not seem like you're getting much out of this product. At the very least, it would be nice to have a USB-C cable included. But no, you just get this tiny bit of plastic. It's 1.9 inches tall. Imagine paying $10 per inch. Now I know I mentioned before that I'm a first-party guy. If I see something with that sweet Nintendo logo on it, I'm gonna buy it. But this is one of the instances where I actually am a big fan of the cheaper and possibly better alternative, the Hori Compact Playstand. At this point, you can find a bunch of different third-party Nintendo Switch stands, but this is the OG one that at least I remember being very prevalent in the early days of the Switch. Coming in at $13, $7 less than the official Nintendo one, the Hori Play Stand is a very substantial piece of plastic. You have these little nubs that align with the holes on your Switch so that it feels nice and stable. You can adjust the stand to different viewing angles. It folds up nicely so that you can store it easily. And most importantly, there's a little cutout on the bottom so that you can plug in your USB-C cable. Overall, this is a really nice stand. And I just now found out that they started making variants of the stand with different designs on it. That's fun. And of course, I'm missing so many other Nintendo Switch accessories. When you have a runaway success video game system, of course everyone and their mother is going to try to make accessories for it. But these are just a handful that I thought would be fun to talk about. Back in 2021, following many rumors of N64 games coming to Nintendo Switch Online, Nintendo announced the Switch Online Expansion Pack membership. A brand new Switch Online membership that would offer more content at a steeper price. What is up guys, my name is Chase and I am a sucker for Nintendo. But when Nintendo first announced the Switch Online expansion pack, I was very hesitant. The Nintendo Switch Online membership is already the cheapest online membership among the big three. At $20 a year, you get the ability to play online on Nintendo Switch along with NES and SNES games. When compared to the other systems, $20 seems like such a trivial amount that it felt completely fine for me to be paying for the services. However, the Switch Online expansion pack cost $50 a year, a whole $30 more than the base membership. At launch, the 3 additions you got with the expansion pack were N64 games, Sega Genesis games, and the Animal Crossing Happy Home Paradise DLC. First off, Sega does what Nintendo don't, so Nintendo don't want to play their games. Here's a picture of my bedroom and I'll let you take a guess whether or not I'm any good at designing homes in Animal Crossing. So really, I'd be using the expansion pack only for the N64 games. And don't get me wrong, N64 games are great and all. Obviously, many people hold Mario 64 as the most revolutionary 3D game of all time. But I don't know, N64 games for an extra $30 seems like a bit of a stretch for me. So at the time of its reveal, I just did not really have too much interest in the Switch Online expansion pack. However, during the February 2022 Nintendo Direct, rumblings were heard across the world. Mario Kart DLC was coming. The Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass was revealed to include a total of 48 additional tracks for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. And at that point, I just had to say, alright, you got me Nintendo, take my money. I feel that the Mario Kart Booster Pass was Nintendo's attempt to further make the Switch Online expansion pack actually feel substantial. And hey, I think they succeeded. Once the Mario Kart DLC comes out, I do feel like the expansion pack will actually be worth the price. Plus, don't forget that more N64 games and Sega Genesis games will continue to be added. What is up guys, my name is Chase, and in my opinion, the Nintendo Switch Online membership is a crucial part of the Nintendo Switch system. Not only does Nintendo Switch Online give you access to some online features, but there are also a bunch of cool benefits included with the membership. And currently, Nintendo does offer quite a few options for the Nintendo Switch Online service. So today I wanted to help walk you guys through which Nintendo Switch Online membership is right for you. Let's start off with the basic Nintendo Switch Online membership. The basic Nintendo Switch Online membership is also the very first Nintendo Switch Online membership that Nintendo introduced in 2018. For an individual membership, it will cost you $19.99 a year, and the individual plan will only let you use Nintendo Switch Online with one user at a time. Now let's say you have a bunch of other people in your household who also want a Nintendo Switch Online membership, then you can get the family plan, which costs $34.99 per year. And this family plan allows you to use Nintendo Switch Online with up to 8 different users. Now in terms of features, the basic Nintendo Switch Online membership of course gives you access to online play. This allows you to race with people around the world in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. You can play online Salmon Run with other people in Splatoon Splatoon 3, and you can even play a full board game in Mario Party Superstars. And along with online play on your Nintendo Switch system, there's also a companion Nintendo Switch Online mobile app that you can download on your phone. This mobile app lets you access services for different games. For example, you can access your Nook phone in Animal Crossing New Horizons, or you can check out the current map rotation in Splatoon 3. But along with those in-game services, you can also use the Nintendo Switch Online mobile app to do voice chat with other people in online games. So for example, you can voice chat with your friends in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe lobbies. The Nintendo Switch Online membership also gives you access to Save Data Cloud. This allows most games on your Nintendo Switch system to back up their save data to the cloud. This means that if for some reason you lose your save data on your Nintendo Switch, you'll still be able to access it through the cloud, or if you have multiple Nintendo Switch systems, you can easily transfer your save data between systems. The Nintendo Switch Online membership also gives you access to special offers in Nintendo Store. This allows you to purchase products that are exclusively for Nintendo Switch Online members. For example, you can pick up the NES, SNES, N64, and Genesis Nintendo Switch controllers. There's also the Nintendo Switch Game Vouchers, which allows you to digitally download 2 eligible Nintendo Switch games for $99.98. And the list of games that are eligible for these Nintendo Switch Game Vouchers is pretty great. There's The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, which is a $70 game, as well as some upcoming games that you can pre-order such as Super Mario Bros. Wonder. And finally, with your Nintendo Switch Online membership, you're able to access exclusive catalogs of some of Nintendo's classic systems. With the basic Nintendo Switch Online membership, you can play a bunch of games from the Nintendo Entertainment System, the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, and the Nintendo Game Boy. These can all be accessed in different apps on your Nintendo Switch system. And what's really cool is that in many of these games, they actually added support for online multiplayer. This means that you can play games like Super Mario Kart or the Donkey Kong Country trilogy with your friends online.
Now, on top of the basic Nintendo Switch Online membership, there is also the Nintendo Switch Online Plus Expansion Pack.
The Nintendo Switch Online Plus Expansion Pack is the premium membership for Nintendo Switch Online. This membership costs $49.99 per year for the individual plan, which once again allows you to use Nintendo Switch Online for one user, and the family plan costs $79.99 per year, which once again allows you to share your membership with up to 8 different users. Now with the Nintendo Switch Online Plus Expansion Pack, you get all of the benefits from the basic Nintendo Switch Online membership, for example online play, the special offers, and Nintendo Entertainment System, Super Nintendo Entertainment System, and Nintendo Game Boy games. However, on top of that, the expansion pack includes a bunch of Nintendo 64 games, Game Boy Advance games, and Sega Genesis games. And once again, you can access all of these games using the apps on your Nintendo Switch system. And just as we mentioned before, they also added online multiplayer for the expansion pack games as well. So for example, you can play with up to 4 friends online in Mario Kart 64 or Mario Party 1 and 2. And along with all of these classic games, also included with the Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack are some of the latest DLC releases for Nintendo Switch games. These include the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass, which adds 48 additional courses to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. There's the Animal Crossing New Horizons Happy Home Paradise, in which you help villagers design their houses. And there's the Splatoon 2 Octo expansion, which basically adds a whole nother story mode to Splatoon 2. So with the Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack, you're basically getting the Nintendo Switch Online service as well as a bunch of different gaming experiences for just an additional $30.
So that's just a rundown of some of the options that you'll find for the Nintendo Switch Online membership. In my opinion, the basic Nintendo Switch Online membership is good if you're only focused on getting online features for the latest Nintendo games, whether it's playing online with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, or maybe even Splatoon 3, while the Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack offers a lot more bang for your buck if you're a die-hard Nintendo fan. With all of the catalogs of classic Nintendo games that you can play, it's a really nice bonus if you want to check out Nintendo's past games. But let me know in the comments, what Nintendo Switch Online membership do you guys stick with? If you want to hear more of my thoughts about the Nintendo Switch Online service, feel free to check out the video below. For now, thank you so much for watching. My name is Chase, and I will see you guys again soon. Bye.